Now, if you want higher wages, let me tell you what to do. You got to talk to the workers in the shop with you. You got to build you a union, got to make it strong. But if you all stick together, boys, 'twon't be long. You get shorter hours, better working conditions, vacations with pay, take your kids to the seashore. It ain't quite this simple, so I better explain just why you got to ride on the union train. 'Cause if you wait for the boss to raise your pay, we'll all be a-waitin' till Judgment Day. We'll all be buried, gone to heaven. St. Peter will be the straw boss then. Now, you know you're underpaid, but the boss says you ain't. He speeds up the work till you're about to faint. You may be down and out, but you ain't beaten. You can pass out a leaflet and call a meeting, talk it over. Speak your mind. Decide to do something about it.
How are we doing today, folks? Oh my god, why is my microphone not working? Let's see, are we working now? Alright, cool. Now we're cooking with gas. How are we doing, everybody? Welcome in, welcome in. I was told I should watch the Treasury Department confirmation. From what I understand, this guy's a shithead. And has some really terrible opinions. So, go ahead and get on into it. Alright, so I'm not gonna watch.
Universities and nonprofits, and engages in a variety of philanthropic endeavors. Mr. Bessent, based upon your background, experience, and character, President Trump made an excellent choice in nominating you to be Secretary of Treasury. As you have described it, the position for which you are nominated is at the heart of the American economy, which is in turn at the heart of global economic growth. A Treasury Secretary heads the agency charged with supporting economic growth, representing U.S. interests before foreign nations and global financial markets and organizations, managing the federal treasury and overseeing financial institutions, to name just a few of the responsibilities. Past successful Treasury secretaries have understood business and financial markets, as well as foreign policy and national security, budgets, and regulation. They have worked collaboratively with Congress to enact the President's priorities. Additionally, they have been forthright and communicative. The next Treasury Secretary will have to work with Congress to preserve and build on the pro-growth Republican improve our global
Sorry guys, I'm just gonna go ahead and skip a little bit forward to get the actual hearing itself.
In the lead on clean energy.
This is not so much my portfolio, but when he mentions God, it's a complicated area. I don't know about that else. In fact,
I don't know that he's that honorable. I mean, it's Lindsey Graham, for Christ's sake.
Our good friend and colleague, and now the new Budget Committee Chairman, Senator Lindsey Graham, to help introduce the nominee. Welcome, Senator Graham, from the great state of South Carolina. I want to thank you for joining us today, and I'll turn it over to you to introduce Mr. Bessent.
well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and ranking member to all my colleagues, and there are only 100 of us. We know each other pretty well. This is my first appearance in the Finance Committee, probably last. Y'all work on complicated stuff, and I'm glad you like this stuff. Seems kind of boring to me, but it's important what you do, and I respect the intellect of the people on this committee because our economy needs the best minds that we can find on the Finance Committee, and we need a Secretary of Treasury that knows what he's doing has the trust of the president, and loves his country. Your ship came in with this guy. So Scott Bassett's from South Carolina. He's academically gifted and real-world tested. He went to Yale, so nobody's perfect. When he told me that, I said, "Okay, be here." And my home seats disagree. Offense second chair. Well, did high seats and
Oh, Lord.
believes that President Trump's economic and America will be
The first is there anything that you are aware of in your background that might present a conflict of interest? We appreciate you giving this introduction, and you are now excused, as is our practice. And Mr. Bessent, before we turn it over to you for your opening statement, I have 4 questions that we ask all nominees who come before this committee. The first is there anything that you are aware of in your background that might present a conflict of interest with the duties of the office to which you have been nominated?
No, sir.
Second, do you know of any reason, personal or otherwise, that would in any way prevent you from fully and honorably discharging the responsibilities of the office to which you've been nominated?
No, sir.
Third, do you agree without reservation to respond to any reasonable summons to appear and testify before any duly constituted committee of the Congress if you are confirmed?
Yes, sir.
And finally, do you commit to provide a prompt response in writing to any question addressed to you by any senator on this committee?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Again, welcome to the committee, Mr. Bessent, and you may make your opening statement.
Good. Thank you. Chairman Crapo, Ranking Member Wyden, members of the Finance Committee. It's an honor and a privilege to be considered by this committee as the President's nominee for the Secretary of the Treasury. I want to thank all of you who took the time to meet with me over the past few weeks. I want to thank my spouse, John Freeman, who is here today, and my wonderful children, Cole and Caroline,
Mike, I'm not sure if his mic's working.
who were sitting behind me.
Mr. Bessent, could you pull the microphone a little closer to you?
Who were sitting behind me for the ultimate civics lesson. I want to acknowledge 3 people who couldn't be here today. My 98-year-old mother-in-law, Celine Freeman, a World War II French war bride of an American soldier who lives with us in Charleston, South Carolina, making for a 3-generation household. My sister, Paige McLeod Bessent, who doesn't like crowds and prefers the mountains of South Carolina to large cities, and my recently deceased sister, Wynn Bessent, who worked tirelessly as a public defender in one of South Carolina's poorest counties. I also want to thank President Donald Trump for having placed his trust and confidence in me for such an important role in his administration. While I've met with many of you, most Americans watching at home will be unfamiliar with my background. I have been blessed with a fulfilling and successful career, but my presence here today was far from predetermined. I was born and raised in the South Carolina Lowcountry. My father fell into extreme financial difficulty when I was young. When I was 9 years old, I started working 2 summer jobs, and I haven't stopped working since. I eventually made my way to Yale. I accepted my first internship in finance because the job came with a pull-out sofa in the office to sleep on, which allowed me to live in New York City rent-free. I've been involved in the
I'm not really digging this whole pulled himself by his bootstraps, rags to riches nonsense. You don't just get into Yale. I mean, maybe you did back in the day. Back when this guy was still like in his 20s, I guess. But legacy schools like that, and just the Ivy League in general, like the cost of admission is
financial markets ever since. I've been fortunate enough to work with some of the world's greatest investors in a career that has taken me to almost 60 countries over 40 years. My life has been the only in America story that I am determined to preserve for future generations. Today, I believe that President Trump has a generational opportunity to unleash a new economic golden age that will create more jobs, wealth, and prosperity for all Americans. My life's work in the private sector has given me a deep understanding of the economy and markets. And while this experience will be invaluable in crafting economic policy, I have long adhered to the principle that you should know what you don't know and lean on those who do. Having never served in government, I intend, if confirmed, to be in close contact with each of you in your offices and seek your counsel. The Treasury Department plays a critical role in protecting American national security. We must secure supply chains that are vulnerable to strategic competitors, and we must carefully deploy sanctions as part of a whole-of-government approach to address our national security.
All right. 2 seconds. Let me back this up just a second. I want to make sure I catch all of this before I say something stupid.
Your counsel. The Treasury Department plays a critical role in protecting American national security. We must secure supply chains that are vulnerable to strategic competitors, and we must carefully deploy sanctions as part of a whole-of-government approach to address our national security requirements. And critically, we must ensure that the U.S. dollar remains the world's reserve currency. Today, Americans face significant challenges in an economy that has not created enough opportunities for working men and women. We have an affordability crisis, a housing shortage, and for the first time in my lifetime, parents feel as though the American dream is slipping away from their children. The federal government has a significant spending problem, driving deficits that have averaged an historically high 7% of GDP during the past 4 years. We must work to get our fiscal house in order and adjust federal domestic discretionary spending that has grown by an astonishing 40% over the past 4 years. Productive investment that grows the economy must be prioritized over wasteful spending that drives inflation. As we begin 2025, Americans are barreling towards an economic crisis at year-end. If Congress fails to act, Americans will face the largest tax increase in history, a crushing $4 trillion tax hike. We must make permanent the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act and implement new pro-growth policies to reduce the tax burden on American manufacturers, service workers, and seniors. I've already spoken with several members of the committee, as well as leaders of the House, about the best approach to achieving these important goals together. As President Trump has said, we will unleash the American economy by implementing pro-growth regulatory policies, reducing taxes, and unleashing American energy production. The breadth and depth of our capital markets, along with predictable pro-growth tax policy and smart updated regulation, will continue to make America the most popular destination in the world for starting, growing, and taking public a business. And as we rebuild our economy foundation for the next generation of American competitiveness, we must use all the tools available to realign the economic system to better serve the interest of working Americans. For too long, our nation has allowed unfair distortions in the international trading system. President Trump was the first president in modern times to recognize the need to change our trade policy and stand up for American workers. If confirmed, I look forward to working with President Trump and members of this committee just that. Members of the committee, these are just some of many important goals that firmly believe that if confirmed and with your counsel and support, we can usher in a new, more balanced era of prosperity that will lift up all Americans and rebuild communities and families across the country. I humbly thank you for your consideration and am eager to take your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Besant. Before I begin my questions, I want to reemphasize how appreciative I am of your diligence in the process that we've gone through vetting here in this Senate. I appreciate the more than 3,000 pages of supporting material you've provided, as well as the countless hours you and your staff have offered to respond to questions from members of this committee. Let me be clear. You followed all of the applicable law and met the committee's long-standing diligence standard. Your process matched that which has applied to nominees in every previous administration. And I want to go in my first question to you to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which Senator Wyden and I have both mentioned already, and you've mentioned in your remarks. The attack on this statute, this law, which is law, I remind everybody it is the law now, it was passed in 2017, is that it was a tax cut for the wealthy. I appreciate you, Mr. Bessent, noting that it will be a $4+ trillion tax increase if we do not extend this law. And a point that I would remind all of my colleagues is that if that $4+ trillion tax increase happens, it's not just going to be something that impacts the wealthy. It is 2.6 trillion of it. The majority of it falls on people who make less $400,000 for a family with 2 taxpayers, under $400,000 per year. That's the number that President Biden chose to say he wanted to protect it. 2.6 trillion of this tax cut hits those making less than $400,000. Moreover, massive amounts of it hit pass-through entities, small businesses across this country. This is not a tax cut for the wealthy that we're talking about. It is a tax increase on all Americans, the majority of whom are in the lower and middle income categories. My question to you is, one of our
So he's fully aware that he's full of shit, right? The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act started out by allowing families that make less than $400,000 a slight tax decrease. But year over year, what that ends up happening in the actual written into the tax code itself is that the first year after the act was put into place, that lower income and middle class families are going to see a tax increase in subsequent years. So what's ending up happening is that under the guise of it helping the working class, what it actually does is provide more tax breaks for the wealthy. So, I mean, obviously.
Our pivotal tax is to make sure that this tax increase does not happen. Can you give us your perspective on the impact that would occur in this country if we allowed this $4 trillion tax increase to happen?
Senator Crapo, thank you for this, and thank you for the meetings over the past few weeks. I've enjoyed working with your staff, and this is the single most important economic issue of the day. This is pass-fail. That if we do not fix these tax cuts, if we do not renew and extend, then we will be facing an economic calamity. And as always, with financial instability, that falls on the middle and working class people. We will see a gigantic middle class tax increase. We will see the child tax credit halved. We will see the deductions halved. So it will be what we call in economics, it has the potential for a sudden stop. And as I
A lot of
said,
these comments are proving that they don't
traditionally
understand
with
how the
these
Tax Cuts and
sudden
Jobs Act
stops,
works.
it falls
That's just the
on
current
working
tax
Americans.
plan.
Thank you.
I know I'm
And,
probably being
I would
spoken
just
over
say to
completely,
you,
but
you may be aware of
I
this,
figure
but the
it's
Tax
probably important to
Foundation has
mention
indicated
the
that
Tax
if
Cuts and
we
Jobs Act isn't just like a
do
law that was
sustain
passed,
these
it's
tax
more the
cuts and
tax
protect
plan
them
that was
from
proposed by,
expiring and stop this tax
the
increase,
2016
that
to
the extension
2020
of this
Trump regime
policy would
that we were
increase
currently under during the entire 4 years
growth
of
of
Biden
the
and
GDP
will
in the
go out of
United States
effect,
by 1.1%
I
over
think
time.
this
Similarly,
year,
and I don't
if
know how
not
they
this
came
year,
up
at
with the
the
same
end of this
number,
year, beginning of
but the
next
National
year.
Association of Manufacturers indicates that if we don't extend this tax relief, that there will be a 1.1% reduction in growth of jobs and development in our economy. It seems to me that as we are talking about what to do for America, that protecting America from a 1% reduction versus a 1% growth in GDP is a critical objective. Could you just give a little bit of perspective? I know you've just answered this question in another context, but could you just give a little bit more perspective on those kinds of dynamics? And I'm sorry, I'm going to try to keep to 5 minutes, and we've only got about 15 seconds left of mine, and I want to be sure everybody else stays on time, so I will too. Could you quickly respond?
Well, Senator, I would just say that we saw the power of these tax cuts in 18, 19, and going into January of 20 before they were interrupted by COVID, and the great success that we had.
Thank you. Senator Wyden.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me say to the nominee, I've got 4 questions that I'm going to ask, and if we both can keep it brief, I think we can get to all of them, because I think it really frames for us what the debate is all about. I'm going to start by talking about the future of direct file. This is the program that helps our people who choose it to save hundreds of dollars when they file their tax return. Last year, the IRS launched it. It was enormously popular among taxpayers, but of course, the tax software giants and their big lobby just hate it. They want to shut it down. Now, the filing season starts January 27th, so it opens in 10 days, and millions of taxpayers around the country have already been notified that they are going to be eligible to use direct file this year. So I won't do this for every question, but I'd really like a yes or no on this one. Will you commit to keeping direct file up and running if you're confirmed?
I will commit that for this tax season, that direct file will be operative, and the American taxpayers who choose to use it will. And if confirmed, I will consult and study the program and
I appreciate the answer. It means that taxpayers are going to save, who choose to use it because it's voluntary, hundreds of dollars, and we'll have a chance to see once again how popular it is with practically everybody except the tax prep software crowd. On to tariffs. Donald Trump, with no plan and no strategy, says he's going to put across-the-board tariffs, blanket tariffs on all imported goods, which means that our workers and our small businesses are going to get clobbered with additional taxes on practically everything they buy from other countries. My question here is, who would pay these tariffs? Americans or foreign countries?
So this, Senator Wyden, just to understand, so I can frame the answer correctly, do you believe that these tariffs are a consumption tax increase?
I believe these tariffs, you can call it whatever you want in terms of trying to gussy it up. They're going to be paid for by our workers and small businesses. And all through the campaign, we heard they weren't the foreign countries were going to pay it. I think that's baloney. It's going to be paid for by workers and small businesses. So, your response?
Yes, Senator, I would respectfully disagree. And the history of tariffs and tariff theory, optimal tariff theory, does not support what you're saying. Traditionally, we see that the current, if we were to say use a number that has been thrown around in the press of 10%, then traditionally the currency appreciates by 4%. So the 10% is not passed through. Then we have various elasticities, consumer preferences may change. And finally, foreign manufacturers, especially China, which is trying to export their way out of their current economic malaise.
Well, I don't know how many people who, between my streams on here, have switched between TikTok to Red Note. But as a lot of Americans who have been going on Red Note have been finding out, China's economic malaise isn't doing too much to impact the quality of life for the average Chinese person. From what I've been seeing is that the average, from what the reports are from like anyone else who comes in, saying like a family of four in China can live off $500 a month, whereas like in America, just with rent alone, the median rent in America currently is $2,000. So with a $2,000 median rent, you have to work, I think it's 80 some hours a week at the current federal minimum wage just to make rent. So I reject his whole statement there. And obviously when you're paying import tariffs, what's going to end up happening is that we pay it on our end, on top of the fact that with manufacturing infrastructure so bad because we haven't been developing an infrastructure, because all of our wealth is being sent overseas because they could pay people less and do it legally without even having to deal with the pesky fines that they still are willing to pay illegal workers to work in like the chicken production or like the food production and farming. And so what ends up happening is you end up passing that on to the bottom dollar consumer, who's going to have to still go in and purchase products from the store that are going to be have tariffs levied on them. Any manufactured good that they have that's made in America, most of our manufacturing, and like most of our steel comes from Canada. So to build anything that requires steel, we're going to need to have we're going to have to pay an increase towards Canada just to try and get some steel to make any of the things that we can actually manufacture in this company. Fortunately, one of the only few good things that Biden did is like push through the CHIPS Act to try and at least get something manufactured in America at some point. But we just don't have the infrastructure for grand scale manufacturing, and not in the way that these conservative shitheads seem to think that we can. Just like flip a switch and all the factories are open and we can just pay people. When what's going to end up happening is what always ends up happening is that as the price of the cheapest dollar item increases, then American manufacturers are going to go ahead and try and buff up the cost to compete so that they can still pretend like because it's American made, people are going to pay more, and they will. At least, again, people like Mr. Besant here, or Besant, Scotty boy over here. Scotty doesn't know that tariffs and me do it in my van every Sunday.
Will continue cutting prices to maintain market share.
Okay. That's an academic view of it. But what I know is the history of this is it clobbers people of modest means. They're the people who are going to get hit. And all through the campaign, there was a big show that it was going to be paid for by foreigners. Not so. Two other questions that I want to get in. And I already made it clear, and you and I talked about this. I'm for a tax code that gives everybody the opportunity to get ahead. You and I talked about my friend Bill Bradley. He and I have been working for this for years. Do you believe the tax code should treat wages differently than it treats wealth?
Look, in any tax system that advantages and creates distortions, it is a change that, Senator, it is a decision that was made when the tax codes were written. And so every tax code involves the trade-offs and distortions in favor of other the gains.
It sounds to me like you do believe that it's fine to treat wealth more favorably. I couldn't disagree more. The idea that a dollar earned by a hedge fund manager has more value than a dollar earned by a teacher or a factory worker, I just think it's a disconnect with the American people. One last question, and that is about the legislation that was written in this room that was the biggest transformation on clean energy in American history. That is our package that basically said the tax code as it relates to energy is a broken down mess. And we basically said we're going to have a technology neutral system. The more you reduce carbon, the bigger your tax savings. Now there is a big effort in the Trump administration to reverse it. I think that's going to be bad for the economy, but it is going to be damn good for China because we are in an arms race on clean energy with them. Are you going to be on the side of people who want to unravel this?
Senator Wyden, just so we can frame this for everyone in the room, China will build 100 new coal plants this year. There is not a clean energy race. There is an energy race. China will build 10 nuclear plants this year. That is not solar. I am in favor of more nuclear plants. And I would note that the IRA, as scored by the CBO, is wildly out of control in terms of spending on the upside.
Well, first of all, the clean energy package does protect nuclear because members on both sides of the aisle in this room wanted it to be that way. But if you're going to talk about fossils, the United States has achieved a greater level of energy security than we've had in generations. Oil and gas production is at record highs. And it's not just that, but it's about clean energy. And I'm very troubled by your position denying that we're in an arms race with China on clean energy, because we definitely are. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We do need to move on. And I told Senator Wyden he could have those 4 questions, but I want to remind everybody else we've got a 5-minute time limit. He deserved those extra questions. Senator Grassley.
Mr. Benson, congratulations. I want to start out with where you and I talked about something in my office. And you remember that tongue-in-cheek comment I made to you that you're going to be asked by the chairman, will you answer all of our letters? And everybody that comes to the Hill says, yes, they're going to. And I said, maybe you better say maybe, because most people don't keep that promise. So I just wanted to remind you, if I write you a letter on my oversight responsibilities, I'd appreciate it if you'd answer it. Now to my first question. My Democrat colleagues believe, you gonna put that up? My Democrat colleagues believe the only solution to our unsustainable debt and deficit is higher tax rates and that ends up being on job creators and families alike. However, history proves that high tax rates fail to raise significant revenues. Taxpayers, workers, and investors are smarter than that. In other words, they're smarter than we in Congress that thinks that at one time a 93% marginal tax rate would bring in more revenue than a 70% tax rate or a 50% tax rate or a 30% tax rate or a 40% tax rate and so on. But as you can see from this chart, Congress isn't too smart because the taxpayers decide how much money they're going to bring into the federal treasury. Now, on the other side of the ledger, federal spending is at levels we've never seen outside of war and recession and still growing. So I'm making a statement to you, but if you'd like.
All right, well, before Father Time finishes and wraps up here, that's just like revenue and GDP. It doesn't necessarily mean that that was entirely because we were taxing, etc. A lot of that was just a lot of movement in revenue from what we were taxing versus and how we were spending those tax dollars. And so that's one thing. The second thing, and the most important thing, is I'm tired of people talking about job creators. Like, what they're doing is creating jobs. They're offloading their labor so they can pay you a marginal percentage of what the labor is actually valuable for. When people come in and try and take the profits that you're earning them and then give you a pittance for it, that shouldn't be fine and dandy. You should get angry. You should get upset. You should organize people you work with and try and either form or join a union and try and stand up so that we can all collectively make more as we need to.
To comment on whether or not we have a fiscal imbalance primarily or a spending problem rather than a revenue problem.
Senator Grassley, I enjoyed visiting you in your office, and will remind you that when we were talking about the American agriculture, that I may be the first Treasury Secretary nominee in a long time who knows what a section is, 642 acres, and involved in the farming business. And yes, we do not have a revenue problem in the United States of America. We have a spending problem. That historically, for the past 40 or 50 years, revenues, federal government revenues, have averaged about 17 to 17.5% of GDP. And spending has been slightly over that, leading us to a 3.5% budget deficit, which is manageable because we have roughly 3.8% nominal growth, 1.8% real growth, 2% inflation. Today, as you stated, and to be clear, this is one of the things that got me out from behind my desk and my quiet life in this campaign was the thought that this spending is out of control. We are spending about 24 or 25% of GDP. So as you said, 6.8 to 7% deficit. We have never seen this before when it is not a recession or not a war. And I am concerned because several times the Treasury of the United States has been called upon to save the nation, whether it was the Civil War, the Great Depression, World War II, or the recent COVID epidemic. Treasury, along with full government and Congress, has used its borrowing capacity to save the Union, to save the world, and to save the American people. And what we currently have now, we would be hard-pressed to do same.
My last question is one I ask a lot of people to come from Treasury. While I oppose tax hikes on individuals, families, and small businesses, I've long championed sensible policies geared towards shutting down tax loopholes and providing tools to IRS to detect tax cheats. Primary example is my legislation that I authored in 2006, the IRS whistleblower law. It's brought $6 billion back into the federal treasury. This program could raise billions more if IRS would use it to its full potential. So I hope I can count on you if you're confirmed, and I think you'll be confirmed, to be supportive of this whistleblower program and work to ensure its full use to its full potential.
Senator Grassley, we are in complete alignment on this program.
Thank you. Next would be Senator Cornyn.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Benson, welcome to Washington, D.C. You're getting a taste of what it's like here, which is an out-of-body experience for most people who are not acquainted with it. I happen to represent a state that has the 8th largest economy in the world. We think we understand the formula for economic growth and prosperity and opportunity, which are low taxes, a reasonable and modest regulatory footprint, and opportunities for people to prosper, and by prospering, invest and create opportunities for other people to pursue their dreams. We think there's a lot Washington can learn from that formula, and it sounds to me like you agree. One of the strange experiences I've had here is that so many of our colleagues, principally on the other side, think that the money that you earn is not actually yours. It's the federal government's, and you just get to keep a little bit of it. Conversely, I believe that the money that people earn is theirs, and they have a responsibility to pay taxes. But as you point out, an over-tax burden or large tax burden has a way of depressing the economy and reducing standard of living. So I'm grateful for your nomination, and I think you are exactly the type of individual that needs to serve in this important position, and I support your nomination wholeheartedly. Let me ask you, in the short time I have, one sort of obscure question and another one that we discussed in our office. As you know, the market for U.S. Treasuries is the largest market in the world at $28 trillion, and it's critical to the financial stability of the United States. there's actually a proposal for an entity to clear U.S. Treasury futures at the London Clearing House, which is overseen by the Bank of England. Some argue that the Bank of England would have control over heaven forbid, a default scenario in this critical market instead of the U.S. Is this a concern to you?
Senator Cornyn, I enjoyed visiting in your office, and I would note that while Texas has more arrivals due to good economic policies, South Carolina has more arrivals as a percent of the population, also driven by our wonderful governor, Henry McMaster.
I'm still going to vote for your nomination. I think it's 1,600 people a day in Texas, but go ahead.
Yeah. Everything's bigger in Texas, sir. You raised a very important question, and one that I will investigate further. I was unaware until the past few days of this with the new exchange. What I can tell you is, as a student, a professor of economic history, that it is important for the U.S., for U.S. treasuries, for us to be able to.
Well, we've been watching this for a minute, and it just seems like what's going to end up happening is I'm just going to sit here and be stuck watching this. So I'll save this for a more structured thing later. I'm trying to put something together because all of these guys are just masters of deflection. Then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Stalker 2. Oh, right. Oh, Lord. Hmm. Try this again. Oh wow. Let's see. Oh yeah. We're gonna play it on regular, of course. Like, I'm not a little bitch. It's not all the time. Oh shit, what is this, Daisy? Heavens to Betsy. Like, yeah. Oh man. Oh man. Oh shit. Alright. Oh man, what a stutter. They weren't kidding.
Last question, Dr. Dallin. Are you sure the perimeter surrounding the zone is really enough? If a powerful emission were were to occur,
Listen, the zone has remained stable for years. Besides, we didn't establish the most advanced institution in human history without first guaranteeing safety. As the head of the Scientific Institute for Research of the Chernobyl area, or SARCA for short, I believe the wonders that we will bring to the world far outweigh the potential risks.
Jesus Christ.
how big are these risks exactly?
The zone reveals a whole new world. We can stick with the old one, fearing change. But tell me, do you want our descendants to remember us as cowards? Or as those who dared to venture
Oh man.
forward to a new, better humanity?
You're OJ, man. You're OJ.
The injured were evacuated. I remind our listeners that a similar incident happened in our region quite recently, ruining homes and livelihoods. City officials urge people to stay calm, assuring them the situation is totally under control.
Oh man.
You alive back there?
I'm okay.
Zone is really raging today. See that? It was a hell of a blast. Can't remember one so fierce.
Are we, close?
Kind of. The central checkpoint could be on alert after the emission, but there's another way in. Crack in the wall to the left of the fault. Bugger off! Hope you didn't lose your secret artifact along the way. If it was outside the zone for too long, it would have lost its anomalous energy. But I've got this shiny metal thing to recharge it. One lucky activation, and we have a gold mine here.
Sector 9, visual detection of the vault. I say again, Sector 9, visual detection of the vault.
Jesus Christ.
Show me what you found. What the hell is this? I've seen artifacts taken from the zone before. They always burn out and fall apart real fast. But this one?
This one is not from the zone.
Oh, I bet. Where'd you find it?
In my laundry basket.
Who do you think you're talking to, huh? You have any idea what this scanner cost me? If it's not an artifact, it's gonna blow us all to hell! I won't let my hard work come to nothing because of you. I won't let you flush it down the shit.
This stone owes me a new home. We gotta move.
Get to the scientist bunker. Nehoda will explain how to proceed with the scanner. He's waiting for you. Good luck.
We're free.
Give me a sit rep. Perimeter breached. Extensive damage caused by... Oh, fuck knows what. Copy that. Dispatching a response team.
Oh, that's cool. Alright. No, not you, not you, not you, not you. Dude, get the fuck off. Fuck out of here. Oh my fucking Christ. Nothing very. That's unsettling. Alright. I'm actually end up having to call it for tonight. I still got a little bit longer left. I didn't think it was still this early. I've got at least one more good try in me before I'm just content to say let it burn. Alright, finally. Let's get back into it. Hopefully this works. If not, then I don't know, I'll do something else next time, I guess. If this doesn't work again, I'm gonna call it for the night. I got a YouTube video in the works though. So hopefully I'll have that out within the week. Setting up profile. You don't need to set it up, dude. Maybe this time just let the fucking shaders warm up. Yeah, there we go. Compile the fucking shaders so I can actually play the goddamn game. Instead of just fucking struggling. How we doing? Thank you for the likes, by the way. Well, I'm gonna be playing Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. I ran it the first time and it just crapped out on me because it didn't want to do anything with the shaders. Now it's finally compiling them. So hopefully I can actually play the game. Oh man, I wish it wasn't moving so slow. I'm gonna feel bad for holding people up on here. Be kind enough. It just hanging out for me. It's a good lord. I'm so sorry for everybody. I'm be mad because I bet it's gonna be one of those ones where once it gets past the 25% mark, it's gonna skip all the way to 75% and then just make me wait for the last 25. Yeah, it really is, and I'm super sorry about that. I didn't realize how much I had to do before actual startup because I started it up just like I said a minute ago, and it let me run the game. It was like, we'll let you keep playing, and then it just started lagging the shit, so I couldn't even do anything. And all right. All right. Guess I always go back to playing Civilization since Stalker 2 doesn't work. Yeah. 5 seconds and I'll switch everything really fast. Actually, I won't even play Civilization. Lazy, are you a fan of the Persona series at all? Or the Monster Hunter series? Hmm. Or do you like Fallout? Well, I was gonna go. I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do. I think I'll switch it over to Monster Hunter because I can finish the Master Rank stuff. I do not play VR. I'm saving up for a headset right now though, because I do want to play VR eventually. I want to definitely play like Saints and Sinners, the Walking Dead one. I want to play. Like I'm a big fan of any of those like sword or lightsaber games. Oh, nice. Yeah, like I said, I'd gladly play some if I had a headset, but it's up there on the list, right next to a slightly better microphone and/or interface. Just because mine kind of, they're not great. They're not bad, but they're not great. I've played Beat Saber. I'm definitely going to be investing in Beat Saber, and also like the Resident Evil 4 in VR, and all of, like the new Resident Evils as well. I know my girlfriend also, I think, enjoys Beat Saber. You can only just play it for brief stints, though. But I'm hyped. I also heard there's a really fun Batman game on there, and I'm always down to be Batman. Oh, come on, load this out a little bit more, man. Get done with it. Yeah, I've been told. I have a really close friend of mine I work with who has a VR headset, and she's had a hard time finishing the game. But she always talks about how she's excited to go home and play more of it. Heck yeah, let's go. The defensive Celiana. Oh, what was I doing? I was upgrading something. Right. I need 2 more Wrath Wing Talon plus. So, we're gonna go do. Yeah, I love this game. It's such a fun game. going to do a master rank Rathalos. Ancient Forest, let's do it. We're gonna do that camp, and we're definitely using a lucky voucher. The Monster Hunter game, yeah, it's on PC. It's actually available on, I think, like all of the last gen consoles, so like the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and then onward. Bang. Grab them trap tools. Oh, net. I turned them all into traps already. Go make sure we chow. Oh yeah, I've played tons of Minecraft. Yeah, I was trying to get a server going with me and a few of my work friends so that I at least had some people to bounce off of. Because it's kind of boring just sitting there by yourself sometimes, or at least for a long period of time. Yeah, I don't always get so many, donut though. I don't always get talkative viewers, so I do really appreciate that. This needs to hurry up and finish there, and let's do it. I do also play a lot of card games on here. Killer. Get ready to die. God damn it. Nope. No poison. No. I forgot my flash pods. Dag nabbit. Come down here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Oh, black. Yeah, that's cool. Ta-ta now. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh! I play Pokemon, Civilization. I mean, I'm all over the place, man. I'm a little bit ADHD, so it kind of bounces around. fun. I definitely did that. Freaking bots, dude. Bots trying to get me to pay for other bots. Cool. Yep, knew that was coming. Nope. Hell no. And I am into Pokemon cards, and I play the Pokemon Pocket. I'm not bad at it. It is, however, difficult in gotcha games like that to maintain competition. Oh, shit. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Ah, god damn it. Don't die, don't die, don't die. I'm a pretty big fan of Gengar, man. Like, there's some pretty cool art on some of them Gengar cards. Just always been a big fan. Which is weird, because I usually am just a huge fan of, like, electric-type Pokemon. It's just always been real cool. I mean, I like the whole evolution line for Gengar. I mean, Haunter's dope as shit. Ghastly's pretty mid. I do have to say. But Haunter's dope, Gengar's cool. But I'm also a big fan of like Joltik and Galvantula. I think it's really funny that Joltik, when you see him like in the Pokedex represented size-wise, is just like, I'm not even there. Oh, I gotta send. I do not, if I'm being honest with you. I do not play Fortnite or Roblox. I think I've played Fortnite a couple times, but I've never been really good at those, what are they called? Battle Royale games. Apex I was okay with. But yeah, that's mostly because I had a pretty good group of friends who would be willing to carry me through it. I used to play Rocket League. I just don't have a PlayStation currently, and it's on that. Like my purchased copy is on that. tail. I watch it from time to time. The same friend who got me into Rocket League actually got me into watching a little bit of footy. Hang it. Oh, don't hang it. Alright, cool. And of course. I guess it would have to depend on the sport. Like, for me, I like a lot of extreme sports or like motor sports. I grew up watching a lot of those, like motocross and stuff like that. I also really enjoy like skateboarding, like X Games, and some like Olympic sports, just because it's impressive to see people who are so like physically talented do things I could never dream of. I guess there's also hockey. Or slice. Oh, you're big, man. Oh man, I almost had him. Oof, I wish I hadn't did that. That's quite not cool. I didn't do nearly enough. Yeah, that was very nice of you. Don't die, don't die, don't die. It'd be stupid to die right now. Thank God for that. Wakey, wakey. Come down here and fight me like a pansy. What do you know, bro? Oh, come on, hit me. Don't stand right next to me. Oh, fuck off, man. Rathian blast me out of the fucking sky. Thank you. No, come here. No, there's no spit fireballs at me, bro. Go over here and fight me. Only got one. Oh shit, I got the two I needed. Mm. Huh.
Putting places.
Yep, I don't even have the materials. I haven't done a silver Athlos yet. But that's peak. It is about 1,000 damage, 300 of it fire. That should help me with the quest. But this is where I'm gonna unfortunately have to